You don't know me and I don't know who you are, so let's keep it at a safe distance. There is something that I have to tell you, and who knows, maybe it could cool off a couple of wandering minds in their searches for relics of the web. I bet that you've already heard a couple of hundreds of times about the dark net, the deep web, and that kind of stuff. A set of non-indexed internet pages on these servers that stay under the radar, where you can get all sorts of stuff: drugs, weapons, documents, information. A bunch of stories went viral and made it to the national news. They say that you can hire a hitman there or buy a kidney. But trust me, since the thing went above the surface, all you can do there is book an FBI visit straight to your door. But as thousands of web pages emerge every single day, there will always be a corner that no one has checked yet. I am what you might call a net stalker. People love labels. They make things easier to understand and categorize. In my spare time, I like to browse through the web and discover things no one else has heard about. Sometimes I even get contracts from the big guys to do some penetration testing, and I'm just one of the many. Think of it as a hobby that sometimes pays well. I was there before the whole Silk Road thing exploded. I was there when the group of individuals went on a raid to shut down the network of shady sites with disturbing content. And I'm still here, and a couple of my aliases are known in certain circles. But this ain't no bragging. What I'm trying to say is, I'm no joke, and I'm not here to tell crappy horror stories about internet cannibals. I'm here to tell you about the thing that I recently found. This thing is called light web, and I want you to never make the same mistake that I did. It's actually not that hard to trip on it. Yes, you need a certain browser to access the thing, and no, it's not Tor, an I2P, or anything more complex. In fact, you would need a specific version of Internet Explorer, and since it's pretty much obsolete, I sort of feel safe to make this confession. It seems that Netscape Navigator works too. From a technical point of view, both browsers had a critical vulnerability at the time that would allow injection of scripts directly into the application. So, frankly speaking, technically it finds you rather than vice versa. And to actually get access, you have to visit one of the web pages for housewives with tons of clickbait ads and clicksum. If you're lucky enough, after 5 to 10 steps down the rabbit hole, you'll get a blank page with no URL given. It will be a plain white page with a couple of forms requesting your name and email and a submit button. And that's where the fun begins. I remember doing it for the first time when I've entered the address from a freshly created 10-minute mail. Imagine my surprise when the page refreshed with the right text message. "We are terribly sorry, but it seems that you are using a temporary mail account. Please enter your real mail account. Have a lovely day." I have no idea how they managed to pull that off. Must have been a really tight algorithm to track the origin of the mail, keeping track of the list with questionable domains. Imagine my confusion as I've said, "Alright, fine," and I created a dummy Gmail box to input instead and saw the message, "We are terribly sorry, but we do not accept freshly created email accounts. Please enter your real mail account. Have a lovely day." Man, the thing was real. Actually, it sounds insane. But it wouldn't surprise me if these guys had backdoors in the most unexpected places. Besides, this could be a pet project of some bored engineer in the company. A lot changed since "don't be evil" morphed to "do the right thing," I'm just saying. So, just to make sure that I fired up some accounts with some other services, same result. At that point, my curiosity had skyrocketed. What could possibly be hidden beyond these gates? I had to know. So I punched in one of my older email addresses, input Matt as my username, and hit submit. And to clarify some things, I'm not stupid to use a mailbox that had tracking, and no, Matt is not my real name, but I'll get there eventually. The page changed. The forms had disappeared and only a single line of text was sitting in the center of it. "Welcome, Matt. We'll return to you shortly. Enjoy your day." Bah, pre-moderated accounts, really? I thought back then. Later that evening, I received a message. I know you're going to question my expertise after what I'm going to say now, but I kid you not, it happened. I received a mail from a non-existing sender. And when I say non-existing, I mean it has no address. The info in the header just said, "From blank." That was some next level stuff, or at least I had never seen anything like it. The body of the message read, "Hello and welcome, Matt. We are happy to see you in our small yet happy community of Lightweb. We're really glad that you made it. LightNet is a place where we tend to maintain things nice and cozy for every member out there. Please be the better version of yourself when you talk to people. There is no place for negativity, foul language, aggression, mocking, dirty jokes." The list went on. My first impression was that I had hit a local community of Orthodox Mormons minus the God, plus the tech skills. We hope that you enjoy your stay with us. Just remember not to break our rules and to spread the light. Best regards, Mrs. Goodwin. Wow, that was quite something. Like a group of elite tech-savvy Care Bears or something. The email also contained a URL leading somewhere unknown, as hovering over or inspecting the page element and dev console showed just an empty string. But as I was safe and sound running my crap in a sandbox of a virtual machine, I clicked it. The next thing I saw before me was a website utilizing the best traditions of the early 2000s design. All colors and background images. Do you guys remember the glory days of MySpace? That kind of stuff. A large header on top of the page shouted, "Welcome to Lightweb, the place for nice people." There were a couple of dozens of links underneath, some sort of news feed and a chat. I had suddenly jumped as my headphones exploded with Beach Boys' Good Vibrations of the intro. I nearly had a heart attack. Yeah, back in the days, the peak of your taste demanded to include an audio clip or a song to play once the page was fully loaded. Most of the time, it was something silly like, "Welcome to my webpage," or "Keith here, how you doing?" But some individuals went all the way down and uploaded music tracks, which resulted in horrific loading times, especially if you were a lucky owner of a 33,600 kilobyte per second modem. But as I've lowered the volume down and went to look through the hyperlinks, my eyebrows went up. Mike's Garage, Betty's Cooking Class, How to Be a Good Partner, Gardening Tips and Tricks. Like, what the heck was I looking at? Was my exact thought. Who would build this to host BS that multiplies uncontrollably on Facebook and Food Network? I couldn't understand. Was it just another layer to hide something much more seriously deep underneath? So I've clicked a couple of links and I dug into reading. Some guy was asking the best way to get rid of mites. The very next comment suggested different solutions from a certified pest control worker, and the one below offered to drop by with a box of the stuff. Some lady asked if there was someone willing to help remove the furniture around her house, and there were 3 pages of posts from people who offered to help out. Free doctor checkups, stuff giveaways, party invitations, dog walking, babysitting, and suddenly I realized this place was like a holy unicorn compared to the regular internet. There was not a single word of rough criticism, envy, shameless self-promotion, and attempts to be seen. Those people communicated as if they were a big, cheerful family, and that family didn't even have that one uncle. It was all there, a perfect utopia, a community that could not possibly exist due to human nature. Each one of us tend to slip into the darker corners of ourselves, yet it was a perfect example that everyone stating, evil and I, was wrong. Or at least those people put in some inhuman efforts not to show their flaws. Any question you had, any life problem that you got, You could be hurt and you could get help. Unbelievable. Pretty soon I started to realize how the whole thing functioned. First of all, there was no anonymity. Everybody used their real names. Would it be Jack in Manchester or Nijabuli in Munich? Surprisingly, I discovered that my neighbor downstairs, Mrs. Reyes, was a part of it too. There she was, holding a pot with a ficus, giving tips on houseplants, smiling in the picture. So when I saw her posted message reading, "Help needed, taking a cat to the vet clinic," I didn't hesitate and I went straight to her door. "Yes?" she asked as she inspected me through the crack with a door chain hanging there as a safety measure. "Hey, I would like to help with your cat problem. Just read your post and since we're neighbors," I replied. "Excuse me, but do I know you, young man?" She stared back at me. "I'm your neighbor. I saw your post on the light web and I didn't give up." "The what?" "Look, I don't really want any trouble. Please just go away," she mumbled as the door closed before me. Wow, that wasn't very friendly, was it? But I'm a quite persistent person, you know. So I went upstairs and I posted a reply. "Hi again, Mrs. Reyes. We just talked at your door. I'm still here if you change your mind. Have a great day." 30 minutes later, I was distracted with a knocking at my door. There she was smiling with a tray of fresh cookies. "I'm sorry, young man. I don't really trust strangers. But now I know that you're mad, and we're in the same club. So these are for you and Yas, please. I would like you to take me and Mittens to the vet clinic later this week." Doing good things to people always returns the favor, and it makes you feel great. My heart was singing. Just yesterday, I was an antisocial creep who spent all of his time in front of computer screens, and today I'm eating chocolate chip biscuits and helping the nice old lady. But pretty soon, I learned that I had made a fatal mistake. I had felt guilt. You see, entering a fake name when you lurk into the layer of potential weirdos is one thing. But when it happens that those weirdos are the nicest people that you've ever met, it's quite the opposite. It felt wrong to go by a fake name, as truth always comes out. That's right. So I made the most stupid decision possible. I wrote a message to Mrs. Goodwin, who seemed to be the leader of the whole thing, explaining how sorry I was about not telling my real identity, as I thought that I was navigating into some shady layer. But now, as I saw the beautiful idea behind the light web, I'm sincerely regretting my actions. I hope you understand. Thank you. I finished the message. A couple of moments later, I get the notification for a new mail. It said, "Hi, I completely understand the case here, and yes, it never hurts to be extra cautious sometimes. I won't blame you for that. Just please make sure to be truthful from now on. Respect your fellow users and never lie again, Kyle." I choked at my saliva. How could she possibly know my real name? I'm 100% that my email address has never made it to the public. There were no credit cards associated with it. No deliveries or business discussed with it. But then it clicked. That's probably Mrs. Reyes. She saw my post envelopes, heard some food delivery guys asking my name, and a part of me went, "Mo, you're a snitch, old bag." But another part was like, yeah, it makes sense. I would definitely not tolerate some pretenders in this community either. The next time that I logged on, my username was changed to Kyle, which made sense. I posted in a couple of places offering help with computers, to carpool and something else. I can't really recall at the moment. It felt right. Give and take and give and take. A couple of weeks after, I was all over the place, helping people, setting up wireless networks in their houses, getting paid with a home dinner and pleasant talks about things we had in common. Mr. Burrs, the Jacobsons, Rita, Kelly and Josh, Oscar and Jack. I made a ton of new friends. And vice versa, each time I had a need, there was always somebody for me. As I had some plumbing incident, I got a gentleman to come over the same day. No fee. I sprained my ankle and was unable to drive to the hospital. A qualified nurse had treated me with a smile. I even got my love life sorted out. There was a stunning girl named Lily that I had met answering one of the messages from the light web pages. And by stunning, I mean hot. I fell in love with her. She thought that I was smart and cute, so we hooked up. You know, the regular stuff. Movies, dinners, ice skates. It was nice and fun to spend time with her, and things between us got heated quickly. Up to a point when we finally got to a bedroom. Then it just instantly turned to ashes. How do I say things like this? Lily was into some pretty dirty stuff. Not the one where you get handcuffed to a bed railing or receive a boot to your nutsack, no. Much, much worse stuff. Disturbing even. And so we broke up. Yeah, I was a fool. She tried to talk to me beforehand, but I got the impression that she's into roleplay or other things. But God, I was wrong. And it hit me harder than I thought. Not that I'm not used to breakups, but this was different. I was heartbroken. I was stupid and I got drunk, yes sir. Best way to forget is to down it with scotch. I didn't touch the keyboard for 2 weeks straight. Waking up in the afternoon in smelly clothing, throwing in some pizza pockets and heading down to a bar for another round. Clearly I had some problems, but those are not of your concern. So that evening, I crawled back in early. The bartender decided that I had too much for the night, so he refused to serve me. I said screw him and I went straight home, where my minibar was still at my disposal. Holding a glass of fine bourbon with my shaky hand, I decided to log in and maybe ask those nice people to comfort me after a painful heartbreak incident. But instead, I remember seeing her photo with some other guy hugging her from behind, as she presented a pregnancy test to the camera. The text read, "We are happy to announce that we're pregnant." I fell to the floor, dropped down to my feet, and this incredible wave of rage built up inside of me from my toes up to my throat. I felt my facial muscles cramp, reacting to the overwhelming anger inside of me. We broke up 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks and you not just get another guy by the time, oh no. You're already pregnant with him. You trash. It's not my proudest, but it was all that I could think of. So, was it the alcohol in me speaking, or my inability to control my rage impulses? I didn't think twice to tell her everything about her, him and their frickin' baby. I was quite graphical in my expressions, making sure to hit the hardest. I clicked the post button, finished the bottle and passed out right there, without even making it back to my bed. Waking up in a dried crust of my own bile was quite unpleasant, yet not the worst news. The notification was blinking in my mail client, same empty address mailbox. I cursed aloud and went to the bathroom and quickly washed my face to return for consequences. It read, "Kyle, I'm afraid that yesterday you have shown the worst possible reaction that is inappropriate for any decent human being. Your actions show that you're a pathetic failure that doesn't deserve to be a part of the light web. Your account will be terminated immediately. We do not tolerate such behavior and consider you a threat to our project. Have a rest of your life, Mrs. Goodwin." And yes, as I've tried to log in, I couldn't even get to the forum page anymore, no matter what I did. I've tried my laptop, I used a VPN and proxy, but nothing worked. As if they had banned me from everything at once. IP, Mac, everything. I tried to send a reply email with my sincerest apologies, but it was bounced back, stating that the address probably didn't exist and a 504 error. Crap, I even went downstairs to see Mrs. Reyes a couple of times, but nobody answered the door. None of my new friends picked up the phone. The numbers which they had handed out so willingly previously, it went straight to voicemail. It was all gone. At the same time, I felt like a ruin of a man. I clearly had alcohol problems developing. My intoxicated body ached. So I didn't think of anything smarter than driving a couple of blocks down the road to buy some Alka-Seltzer for starters in the drugstore. The next thing I remember were the paramedics and the blood dripping from my broken nose. As I discovered later from the incident report, somebody had messed with the brakes of my car and had jammed the airbag. I was slowly recovering. Luckily, the nose was the only thing that really broke. Comfort and sleep was all that I asked for, and the doctor was nice enough to put me on the dropper to help with the alcohol withdrawal symptoms. But this wasn't the end of my misfortunes. Quite the opposite, actually. That night, I saw some nurses through the glass of my ward's door. They were discussing something, whispering to each other, and I didn't like how they stared at me. Call me paranoid, but my sixth sense told me to get out of there. As I was opening the door to my apartment, I saw some fresh scratches on the lock plate, as if you get the point. I didn't dare to go inside, I just left the key sticking there. Yeah, I know it makes no sense to you, right? Just some bucko who went nuts after getting kicked in the head with a wheel, but trust me, they were everywhere. I couldn't call the police. Why? Because Mr. Burrs was the head of it. I remember him talking about his plans for retirement in a couple of years, as I was setting up his son's gaming PC. I couldn't call the feds, or the firefighters, or even any bakery from the neighboring state. The good people knew who I was, and they didn't wish me any good now. So I just vanished. I'm on the run, sleeping with the homeless, feeding on what I can. I'm writing this now from a public library. I had persuaded the librarian that I needed to send emails to my relatives, so they could come over and pick me up after a failed attempt to settle in this country. She was kind enough to believe my lie. Just don't watch anything bad, please. There are kids in here, she said. I grew a thick beard and practically became one with my beanie in the hood. I'm pretty sure you wouldn't believe I looked like the man from 6 months before, under all this dirt and hair. I do not seek salvation or forgiveness, and it's too late for saying sorry. This lifestyle made me do some horrible things to survive. My goal now is to spread the word to you, stranger. Just if you are as curious as I tended to be, and if you are also a net stalker, stay away from light web. Just like any form of drug, it takes you high just to smash down low. I don't think that I'll see another sunrise. As I'm finishing my confession, I see a notification on the screen. I hover the cursor and I click the bell to see the couple of the first lines. Hey Kyle, aren't you supposed to write your relatives? I'm sorry, Lily.